Are you tired of being a slave to your addiction? Do you want to take back control of your life? Then you need to watch this video. You'll learn how to eliminate any addiction and take the first step towards a healthier and happier life. Have you ever asked yourself how the ancient philosophy could help you overcome modern challenges like addiction? It's a question that might seem out of place at first glance, but bear with me. In the world we live in today, addiction has become a silent epidemic, often pushed under the rug and seldom discussed openly. This widespread has been wreaking havoc on mental health, straining relationships and hampering productivity, all while remaining largely invisible. In the midst of this philosophy, a philosophy that dates back to ancient Greece and Rome, could provide us with the tools we need. This philosophy teaches us to distinguish between what we can control and what we can't, and to focus our energy on the former. It asks us to be mindful, disciplined and resilient, virtues that could be key in overcoming addiction. Here's how this philosophy can help you regain control over your life. This ancient wisdom, a philosophy from ancient Greece, teaches us about self-control and acceptance. This philosophy, rooted in the teachings of Zeno of Citium, blossomed in the Hellenistic period around the 3rd century, has since endured, providing wisdom and guidance to countless generations. This ancient wisdom is built on the foundation of 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice and temperance. Wisdom, to understand the world and our place in it. Courage, to face life's challenges head-on. Justice, to treat others with fairness and kindness. And temperance, the ability to exercise self-control and moderation. What makes this ancient wisdom particularly relevant to our discussion today is its emphasis on control over one's actions and responses. This ancient wisdom teaches us that while we cannot control external events, we can control how we respond to them. This aspect of this ancient wisdom, the dichotomy of control, is a powerful tool in addiction. Imagine an archer aiming for a target. The archer can control his preparation, his focus, his aim, but once the arrow leaves the bow, it's out of his control. The wind may shift, a bird may collide with the arrow, the target may move. These are external events beyond the archer's control. But what he can control is his response, his resolve to try again, to learn from the experience and to not be deterred by circumstances outside his influence. Now let's bring this archer's tale into our context. Addiction, much like the shifting wind or the moving target, is an external event, a circumstance that has occurred. But our response to it, our decision to seek help, to fight against it, to not let it define us, is within our control. This is where this ancient wisdom shines its brightest light. It guides us to focus on what we can control, our actions and responses, and to accept what we cannot. It teaches us to approach life with a calm mind and a steadfast spirit, to not be swayed by external circumstances, but to navigate them with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Now see how this ancient wisdom can guide us to break free from the chains of addiction. These teachings teach us that we have control over our actions and responses, not the situations we encounter. This is a profound statement that cuts right to the heart of what it means to live a Stoic life. When it comes to addiction, these teachings offer valuable insights. Drawing from the wisdom of these teachings, one views addiction as a lack of control over one's actions. It's a surrender to the desires and impulses that these teachings advise us to master. The Stoics believed that we should strive to live according to nature, using reason to guide our actions. When we let addictive behaviors take the wheel, we're going against this fundamental principle. Remember, these teachings don't condemn pleasure or desire outright. It's about maintaining a healthy relationship with these aspects of life, understanding their place, and not letting them dictate our actions. This perspective is incredibly empowering when dealing with addiction. It reframes the problem of being a helpless victim of our desires to having the potential to regain control. Recognizing the problem is the step. When we admit that we're struggling with addiction, we're acknowledging that our actions are not in line with our rational nature. This is a crucial step because it sets the stage for change. Now, let's talk about self-control. It's a virtue highly esteemed in these teachings. Self-control, in the Stoic sense, is not about repression or denial. It's about understanding our desires, their origins, and their impacts, then choosing to act in a way that aligns with our higher rational selves. This isn't easy. It requires continuous effort, patience, and resilience. But remember, teachings didn't promise a life without challenges. They offered a way to navigate those challenges with wisdom and integrity. With the principles of these teachings, we can begin to take steps to stop addiction. And not only stop it, but transform ourselves in the process, growing into individuals who are more in control, more rational, and ultimately more at peace with ourselves. Overcoming addiction with this approach involves a conscious and deliberate process. The first step is acknowledging the addiction. This can be the most challenging part, but it is absolutely crucial. You must be honest with yourself and admit that there is a problem. This approach teaches us the importance of facing reality as it is, without sugarcoating or denial. This is the foundation upon which we begin our journey to recovery. Next, we need to understand the effects of our addiction. This approach encourages us to reflect on our actions and their consequences. The effects of addiction are not just physical, they are also mental and emotional. They can affect our relationships, our self-esteem, and our overall well-being. By understanding these effects, we gain a clearer picture of why we need to overcome this addiction. The third is practicing self-control. This is where the core principles of this approach come into play. It teaches us that we have control over our thoughts and actions. Instead of being slaves to our desires, we can choose to act according to our values and principles. This requires discipline and perseverance, but it is the key to overcoming any addiction. The fourth step is finding healthy alternatives. This approach is not about suppressing our desires, but about channeling them in a positive direction. Instead of turning to the object of our addiction, we can engage in activities that are beneficial for our body and mind. This could be anything from physical exercise to reading to spending time with loved ones. The goal is to replace the harmful habit with a beneficial one. The final step is accepting the journey. Overcoming addiction is not a one-time event, but a continuous process. There will be setbacks and challenges along the way, but this approach teaches us to see these not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. Every struggle is a chance to strengthen our resolve and deepen our understanding of ourselves. In overcoming addiction with this approach involves acknowledging the addiction, understanding its effects, practicing self-control, finding healthy alternatives, and accepting the journey. It is a path that requires courage, honesty, and determination. But the reward is a life free from the chains of addiction, a life that is in accordance with our highest values and principles. Remember, the journey to overcoming addiction is not easy, but with this approach, it is possible. We've taken a journey through these principles and how they can help overcome addiction. We've delved into the heart of these principles, a philosophy that encourages us to focus on what's within our control and to accept with grace what isn't. We've explored how these principles can provide practical guidance in life, particularly when dealing with challenges such as addiction. These principles teach us to find contentment in simplicity and self-control, values that can be extremely beneficial when tackling addiction. They encourage us to shift our focus from external pleasures to inner tranquility, a shift that can be pivotal in overcoming addiction. We've also discussed the approach to addiction these principles suggest. They urge us to recognize the transient nature of physical pleasures and the lasting fulfillment that comes from inner peace and self-control. They guide us to understand that our desires are within our control, and that we have the power to channel them in a way that is beneficial than harmful. Moreover, we've outlined the steps to overcoming addiction with these principles. We've explored how understanding the root cause of our addiction, practicing self-control, and focusing on our inner strength can help us conquer this challenge. We've also discussed the importance of patience and persistence in this journey. Always remember, the road to recovery may be rocky, but every step you take is towards freedom. Every moment of self-control is a victory, and every time you choose inner peace over temporary pleasure, you're getting stronger. In grand scheme of things, it's not about perfection but progress. It's about making better choices today than you did yesterday, about growing learning, and constantly striving to be the best version of yourself. Embrace these principles, regain control over your life, and remember, you are not alone in this journey. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and help me to grow this community. Thank you for your time. Until the next one.